Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 24 playthrough of the Buffalo Wings. We are just days away from the start of the 2042 season. Our Buffalo Wings will attempt to repeat as World Series champions and break a current record that we're in with the Atlanta Braves with 14 consecutive playoff appearances this season. Could earn a 15th consecutive playoff appearance and could earn a fourth championship and a second World Series title in a row if we reach the heights of possible success this season. We do, after some recent maneuvering, most recently trading away our good reliever Damani Hainsworth, head into the 2042 season with more money than we normally do, a little over $8 million right now. And we have upped our scouting budget to $19 million and our player development budget to $40 million, both of which should help us this year because at this point our farm system is decidedly middle of the pack, ranking 16th out of the 32 major league teams. So hopefully those bigger investments than our normally large investments will help us encourage the growth and development of the prospects that we do have in our system. As we mentioned at the end of our last episode, Barajas, Mendoza, and Lance are back as our top three starters. Made the recent big trade for Floyd Auclair, and Eric Barbarito will be our fifth starter this year. A few new names in the bullpen. Joe Scott is back as our closer, Nate Ruckel back as our stopper, and a few familiar names, David Espinoza, Robbie Farrell, and Sean Drawn around. But Chris Powers we picked up in the Rule 5 draft. David Rivera was our one major league free agent signing this offseason. And Pat Cheek is a guy who we picked up over a year ago that spent most of last year in AAA. So a few new names on our pitching staff, but still expecting it to be a strength for us. As far as our lineup, we have made one change to our 26-man roster since the end of our last episode. We've decided to promote Eric Horst, a first baseman, right-handed hitter who was our third-round pick in 2036, the Major League roster. The 24-year-old spent all of last year in AAA Albany, played 150 games, 35 homers, 100 ribbies, 273 average, a 115 WRC plus. Does have decent base running ability, can bunt a little bit, good personality in the clubhouse, and looks like he could be a useful major league bat. He's also durable. Issue is for a utility infielder, he's not particularly diverse defensively. First base is really the only position he can play with any level of competence. In theory, he can also play second base and left field. But we ultimately felt that given that the 24-year-old Horst is, according to our scouts, pretty much fully developed at this point, whereas the 24-year-old Mike Frank, who we traded for this past offseason, still think he can develop a little bit more as far as his contact and his plate discipline, and think he can also develop significantly as a first baseman, and we might still also train him a little bit at second base, given that he was going to be a pure utility infielder for us this year, and he's played only 38 games above the AA level in his career. Wanted to ensure that he got everyday playing time with the AAA club in Albany. Certainly would think that if it came to a potential playoff spot, there's a chance that Frank would be on the team instead of Hurst if we do make the playoffs, and we're making choices on a 26-man roster there. But wanted to try to maximize Mr. Frank's ability by getting him a little more playing time down in AAA this year. We have also, since the last episode, made one proposal, and this one may surprise you. We've made an offer to bring on our old friend Joe Gallagher, and those of you who are probably around my age or older may recognize the name Navin Johnson, the nickname that I've given him, given the description I've used to describe Gallagher's personality over the years. If you haven't, you can look it up. But we are going to put Joe Gallagher, if we do sign him, likely in AA or AAA. Think it's unlikely he'll have a significant impact for us at the major league level. But he was out there. He was only looking for a minor league contract. So we figure we may try to reunite with Mr. Gallagher on a bargain basement minor league contract rather than any guaranteed or promised money to Navin R. Johnson. And we'll be going through our starting lineup against right-handed pitching when we simulate the opening day of the season in just a couple of days. In the meantime, we did sign Gallagher. We assigned him to AA Albany, where he's going to be our DH. Did want to point out that I did partially take some advice from Patrick DeBonis about hopefully trying to help keep Mitch Houlihan healthy this year. Our excellent catcher, who's been injured for the playoffs 2 straight seasons and is fragile physically. We're platooning him with Walt Miller. Walt Miller is going to be starting for us against left-handed pitching, but more importantly, we're also going to be starting Walt Miller every third day, even against right-handed pitching. And we've boosted up to just under 95% in terms of his rest status when we'll try to give Houlihan a rest. If we are able to open up a big lead in the division this season somehow, could potentially try to play Houlihan even less. Would certainly love to have his bat and his glove available for the playoffs this year. So although we're not going to completely pull him from the lineup or make him the backup to Miller quite yet, since we don't know exactly how the season's going to go for us, we're trying to be even more conservative than we have been in the past in terms of the amount of playing time and wear and tear we're going to put on him. And we've now made it to opening day. Ownership wants us to at least make the playoffs for a 15th consecutive year. Our expectations are higher. Take a look now at the preseason predictions, and looks like expecting a bit of parity in the American League. 92-win Guardians expected to be the top team in the East. 65-win Orioles, the worst team in the East, and the worst team in the American League overall. The Royals expected to win 97 games. So other than the Orioles, everyone in the American League expected to win over 70 games this year. We'll see if the Orioles and the Mariners really do end up being the 2 best teams. Over in the National League, no 100-win teams projected here either. We're expected to go 97-65, win the NL East by 5 over the Mets and 9 over the Phillies, at least through this simulation. And the Phillies will be our opponent here on opening day. Doesn't look like we're expected to have any of the top hitters in the National League, and we're not expected to have any of the top pitchers either. So another season perhaps where just the depth and overall strength of our roster pays off. If we can get back to the playoffs for a 15th straight year, as I mentioned, that would be a record. And we're going to try to get things started here against the Phillies. You can see that their pitcher, Amari Mohead, is viewed as better than our ace, Alexis Barajas. We're favored at the majority of spots in the lineup. And we will get the 2042 season underway here in Philadelphia and see if Deshaun Seifu, leading off for us for a 15th consecutive season as he attempts to lead the National League in steals for a record-setting, record-extending 15th consecutive year. If he can get the season off to a good start for us against Mr. Mohead, we'll have Seifu leading off with a 2-2 count here against Mohead as the Buffalo Wings try to defend our title. A little dribbler down to third base, and Seifu is retired for the first out of the year. Josh Porter back in the starting lineup full-time for us this year, a 2-2 count for him. The right fielder strikes out for the second out. Our number 3 hitter will be Luis Comaduran. Signed him to an extension this past off season rather than letting him free agency. And Comaduran gets his season off to a nice start with the first hit of the year for the Buffalo Wings, single over the first baseman to give us our first base runner of the season. That brings up our cleanup hitter, Daniel Rojas, 253, 36 homers, 91 ribbies a year ago. 1-1 count to Rojas, and he flies out to left for the final out of the top of the first. So no runs on 1 hit for the Buffalo Wings. Barajas takes the mound for us in the bottom of the first here in Philadelphia, be going up against Luis Morales. And Morales looks like he popped that one up to second base, 1 away. Barajas now going after Oberth Bruflat, their number 2 hitter and shortstop. And Bruflat flies out to center field for the second out of the inning. Now the dangerous Dante Afriye, the number 3 hitter, their first baseman, up a 1-2 count on Afriye, and he goes down swinging. So a 1-2-3 inning for Barajas. No score as we head to the top of the second. Juan Romero, our designated hitter, all he's done in 3 seasons in Buffalo is lead the team in homers and runs batted in 3 consecutive years. Number 5 hitter up, and Romero could be on his way towards leading the team in homers and ribbies once again with a leadoff home run here in the top of the second inning to left center field to give the Buffalo Wings a 1-0 lead. Last year's Rookie of the Year / All-Star / World Series Most Valuable Player, the young center fielder Ishmael Velasco, who we signed to an extension buying out his minimum salary and arbitration years, as well as a few free agent years up here in the bottom of the second with nobody out. We're going to let the young center fielder swing away, and a little dribbler to first, or a little dribbler to short, and he beats out the throw to first base. Infield single for Mr. Velasco. He's got a little bit of speed. Luis Ortega, the catcher for the Phillies, does have a pretty good arm. We've got the good hitting catcher Mitch Houlihan up, so we're going to let Houlihan hit away. And Houlihan grounds out 4-3. The runner does move over to second. Alejandro Contreras, our second baseman, now up with a runner in scoring position. And Contreras knocks it down the left field line, but a sharp hit single. The runner unable to score. We'll have runners on the corners now for our number 9 hitter, the shortstop, Jim Andrews. 2-2 count to Andrews, and he gives that one a ride to left field. The number 9 hitter, the light-hitting shortstop, Jim Andrews, with a 3-run home run here in the top of the second inning, and that gives our Buffalo Wings a 4-0 lead. Seifu up already for the second time of the day, even though it's only the second inning, and the veteran... Oh, it looked like he had a chance there, but a diving grab by Stewart in left field finishes off the inning. Actually, that doesn't finish off the inning. That was only the second out of the inning. Josh Porter back up again, also a full count to Porter. And he grounds it to short, makes the throw 6-3, and the Phillies are finally out of the inning. 4 runs on 4 hits for Buffalo, 2 home runs. So a nice second inning, 4-0 lead for Buffalo as we head to the bottom of the second. Going up against 4, 5, and 6 will Barajas be this inning, the catcher Ortega, and then a couple of former Buffalo Wings players. 1-2 count to the excellent catcher Ortega. Barajas struck him out. Their number 5 hitter is Nate Kimmel, was an outfield prospect in our system. Light hitter, decent batting average, has a little bit of speed, or at least historically had some speed. We traded him away years ago. Let's see what Kimmel has done over the course of his career. And looks like he's been with Philly off and on since 2035. Most of the time, just looks like he's a guy who's probably come up when there's been some injuries. Looks like last year at age 31, he was finally on the roster all year long. 340 at-bats, hit 262 with 29 doubles and 16 steals and 17 attempts for the Thief. So Kimmel is their number 5 hitter. Certainly not a prototypical number 5 hitter. We'll see if we can get the former Buffalo Wing prospect out, and Barajas strikes him out for his 3rd K of the game. And now Marco Eduard Pfaltzgraff, you may remember that name, another prospect from our system. We thought about keeping him in the Rule 5 draft this past year, but ultimately wanted a little more roster flexibility. And unfortunately for us, the Phillies ended up picking him up, so he'll likely be on their roster the entire year unless they want to return him to the Buffalo organization. 1-2 count to Pfaltzgraff, and that is the first hit of the day for the Phillies, and the first hit of Pfaltzgraff's major league career and his first major league at-bat. Number 7 hitter now, the outfielder Danny Curtis. Pfaltzgraff is running, and he is gunned down by Houlihan. So no runs on a hit, and nobody left on after the caught stealing by Houlihan throwing out Pfaltzgraff. So we head to the top of the 3rd inning, 4-0 Buffalo. Luis Comadran, 2-2 count to our number 3 hitter. And Comadran gives that one a ride. 3rd home run of the day for the Buffalo Wings. Comadran rewarding us a little bit for that big contract extension we gave him in the offseason. Comadran with his first home run of the year here. 5-0 lead for the Wings. Rojas now up, 0-2 count to our cleanup hitter, and he goes down swinging. 2nd strikeout of the day for Mohead. Juan Romero, 2-0 count to the number 5 hitter. He's already homered today, and he now delivers a single up the middle. So we are definitely having a good day against Amari Mohead. 52 pitches through 1 out in the 3rd inning, 5 runs and 7 hits for us. Ishmael Velasco now up, and the center fielder pops out to short. 2 away. Houlihan, who made the nice throw to catch the runner last inning with Houlihan-type things. Singles to right field for Mr. Houlihan. First hit of the year for the catcher, and now we've got runners on the corners with 2 outs for the young second baseman, Mr. Contreras. And Contreras, another fly out to left field. Stewart, that's the 2nd diving catch he's made to prevent even bigger innings than we've had. So 1 run on 3 hits for Buffalo. The solo shot by Comadran accounted for the only run. Head to the bottom of the 3rd, up 5-0. Barajas back to working on Danny Curtis after he was at the plate when the runner was gunned down. Grounder to short, 6-3, 1 away as Andrus makes the play. Alexis Barajas going after the number 8 hitter, Alex Stewart, who strikes out. And now the number 9 hitter, Jorge Carrillo, up. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and he strikes out as well. So Barajas is dealing here today, and the Wings offense is scoring. 5-0 lead as we head to the top of the 4th. Jim Andrus had that 3-run homer his last time up. The shortstop grounds out to shortstop this time for the 1st out of the inning. Sean Seifu now up for the 3rd time of the day. And Seifu hits it hard down to 3rd, but unable to beat it out. 2 away. And now Josh Porter up, full count to the number 2 hitter, and he goes down looking. So that was the best inning that Mohead has put on the mound for the Phillies thus far. Head to the bottom of the 4th, 5-0 Buffalo. Back at the top of the order, Barajas going against Luis Morales. And Morales with the second hit of the day for the Phillies, right up the middle. Morales does have some speed. We are going to throw over to first. Try to keep Mr. Morales somewhat honest. Going to throw over a second time. And we have picked him off. Morales was making a move towards second, put the throw over there, and he is gone. So we have had 2 runners on, both with singles today. One of them was thrown out by the catcher trying to steal second, and now the second runner of the day was just picked off first base when Barajas threw over to Rojas. So Philly being a little too aggressive on the base paths, perhaps, with the few runners that they've had. So one away, going after the shortstop, Bruflat, and he pops that one up to first for the second out of the inning. Now going after the dangerous number 3 hitter, Dante Afriye. 2-0 count to Afriye, and he grounds out to short 4-3 for the final out of the inning. So a 5-0 lead for Buffalo as we head to the 5th. Coma Duran has a solo home run already today, up for the 3rd time. And Coma Duran, with his second hit of the day, laces a line drive single to left field. Rojas now up, 2-2 count to the cleanup hitter, and he strikes out. Juan Romero up with a runner on first, and the ball gets away from the catcher, so Coma Duran hustles into second. So a 2-1 count and a runner in scoring position now for the number 5 hitter, Juan Romero. 3-1 count, and he moves on and grabs the walk, puts the force back in play for the Phillies, but does give us a second base runner. Runners on first and second for Ishmael Velasco. And Velasco laces a single to left field. Looks like that's going to score at least 1 run. They're sending the runner from third, and he makes it as well. So a 2-run double for Ishmael Velasco, last year's Rookie of the Year, back in on the action here in 2042. And it's a 7-0 lead for Buffalo. Still just 1 out here in the top of the 5th. The catcher Houlihan now up. And he goes down swinging against the left-handed pitching reliever Campbell. Alejandro Contreras now up with 2 outs. And he draws a walk to put runners on first and second here. Jim Andrews, the number 9 hitter, up, 0-1 count to Andrews. And Andrews dumps a single in front of the left fielder. Another RBI for Andrews, who had the 3-run homer earlier. And an 8-0 lead for Buffalo. Runners still on first and second now. Deshaun Seifu here in the top of the 5th is coming to the plate for the 4th time already today. 2-2 count to Seifu, and he strikes out to end the inning. But 3 runs on 3 hits for Buffalo. The lead is now 8-0 as we head to the bottom of the 5th. Luis Ortega, Nate Kimmel, and Marco Eduard Faltzgraf, the 4, 5, and 6 hitters expected up for Philadelphia this inning. Full count to Mr. Ortega, and the excellent catcher singles to left field. As I mentioned last inning, the runners for Philly have not lasted very long. We'll set the depth to double play depth here and then go after Nate Kimmel. Probably don't even need to be at double play depth with the big lead. But, oh, that was a great double play ball, and Contreras booted it. So we had the opportunity to get 2 outs on 1 pitch there, and Contreras let it go. So now runners on first and second for Marco Eduard Faltzgraf. Still nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th. 2-2 count. And Faltzgraf gives that one a ride. Deep center field. Looks like it's going to be a triple for Faltzgraf that clears the bases. So Barajas was cruising around That error certainly didn't help, but Marco Eduard Pfaltzgraff making us regret letting him go in the Rule 5 draft this year. A 2-run triple to get Philly on the board. Finally get the first out of the inning, a grounder 4-3 that retires Curtis Pfaltzgraff, unable to score on it. So 1 away, going after Alex Stewart now, the number 8 hitter. And a pop-up there that should not allow the run to score either. So 2 away now as Andrews makes the play on the old can of corn at short. Number 9 hitter Carrillo up, 1-1 count. Carrillo to Seifu. Seifu throws it over to first to Rojas. So 3 straight outs after that triple, but 2 runs on 2 hits for Philadelphia as they do finally get on the board here in the bottom of the 5th. Moving to the top of the 6th with that 8-2 lead, Josh Porter leading off against the left-handed reliever Jake Campbell. Full count to Mr. Porter, and he strikes out for the 3rd time today. Luis Comaduran, the left fielder who is had that solo homer today and batting 1,000 on the season. In the interest of trying to take advantage of our 8-2 lead, though, here in the top of the 6th, we're going to try to give some other guys some playing time, and we are going to pinch hit for him with Eric Horst. Mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we had brought up Mr. Horst to kind of fill a utility spot on our team, and we'll see what the longtime Buffalo Wings farmhand can do in his first major league at-bat here as a pinch hitter. And he hits a high pop-up, ends up flying out to second base. Daniel Rojas now the first baseman up with 2 outs, full count to Rojas, and he strikes out as well. So getting some good relief pitching there. Got to change our lineup now with Mr. Horst around. And we will substitute Mr. Horst for another young outfielder, Tylen Hotailing. We will let him, the left-handed hitter who made our team, take over in left field for us going forward. Not necessarily the most efficient move, but with an 8-2 lead here in the bottom of the 6th, thinking that we probably don't need to be too creative with our lineup. Barajas still on the mound. He's only thrown 70 pitches. We'll probably have a relatively short leash with him here in the 6th. 1-2 count to the leadoff hitter, Morales, and Barajas strikes him out. Going after the shortstop now, Bruflat. 1-1 count to Bruflat, and he gives that one a ride to right field, but Porter makes the catch right in front of the warning track for the 2nd out of the inning. So the number 3 hitter, Dante Afriye, is up. And we're going to go to the bullpen. Kind of a weird move with 80 pitches. He's gotten 2 outs in a row, but we've got a couple of lefties coming up back-to-back. Opening day in early April for Barajas. So we are going to go to the left-hander David Espinoza. He was slotted to be our number 5 starter before we made the trade for Floyd Auclair. So Espinoza moves back to the bullpen, which is where he has spent most of his career. I think that the left-handed pitcher could have a important role for us out there. Gives us a 3rd lefty in the pen rather than 1 lefty in the rotation and 2 lefties in the bullpen. The rotation is now entirely righty, but should be getting some action from Espinoza this year. 3-1 count to the dangerous Afriye, and Afriye crushes that one. So may regret going to the left-handed pitcher. We knew Dante Afriye was a dangerous pitcher, and the lefty-on-lefty matchup did not work in our favor as Afriye hit a home run. Another lefty up now, the dangerous catcher Ortega. We'll see if Espinoza can get him. 3-0 count, though, and he draws the walk. So Espinoza has not been sharp with the two batters he's faced going after Nate Kimmel right now. Full count to Mr. Kimmel. And I guess that was a hit. It certainly looked like a foul ball with the graphics, but I guess that was a fair ball down the left field line. So runners on the corners now for the left-handed hitting Marco Eduard Faltzgraf. 1-2 count to Faltzgraf. And he, well, if the falls in, I thought that was going to be a fly out to center field. So still, Espinoza has not gotten a single out. 8-4 lead now, runners on first and second. Brutal outing from David Espinoza, and with the fact he's been very ineffective in his 19 pitches, we are going to make another call to the bullpen with a bunch of right-handed batters coming up. Can't afford any more damage here, in my opinion. So we're going to go with David Rivera. You may remember we signed him as a free agent this past offseason. Going to get to make his first action of his Buffalo Wings career here against Danny Curtis. Grounds it down to third. Seifu makes the play, and we get out of the inning. So maybe overthought things there, pulling Barajas after he got the first two batters. Thought the lefty-on-lefty matchups might work in our favor, but certainly not a vintage outing from Mr. Espinoza, unfortunately. But we still have an 8-4 lead as we head to the top of the seventh. Juan Romero, the number 5 hitter, leading off for us against Jake Campbell. And Romero strikes out. That brings up Ishmael Velasco, reigning Rookie of the Year. And Velasco grounds out 6-3. With the left-hander on the mound, Houlihan actually led off when Campbell came into the game. But in an interest with that 8-4 lead and a good defensive catcher on our bench, we are going to pinch hit for Mr. Houlihan with Walt Miller, who will take over as our catcher for the last couple of innings and hopefully give us a little bit of a interesting lefty on righty, or more accurate righty on lefty matchup here. And Miller does check his swing with a full count and draws a walk, gives us a runner, and they make the call to the bullpen for the right-hander Daniel Porfil. Runner on first with 2 outs, number 8 hitter Alejandro Contreras up. And Contreras singles to left field, so could we have a little bit of a 2-out rally going here. Jim Andrews, the number 9 hitter, all he's done today is hit a 3-run homer and also add another ribby, so the number 9 hitter is accounted for 4 of the 7 runs batted in today. Andrews up now with runners on first and second can make it a truly historic day if he came through with a hit here. Not to be the case, though, retired 3-1 on the grounder. So no runs, a couple runners stranded for Buffalo, and we head to the 7th inning stretch. The Wings 8, the Phillies 4. David Rivera still on the mound, facing 8-9-1. Stewart, Carrillo, and Morales due up for the Phillies. 2-2 count to the number 8 hitter, Alex Stewart. And Stewart flies out deep to left field for the first out of the inning to Tylen Hotaling. The third baseman, Carrillo, up now. 1-2 count to Mr. Carrillo. And he strikes out. And Luis Morales, the leadoff hitter, now up. 1-2 count to Morales. And he strikes out as well. So a nice inning for Rivera, 3 up, 3 down. And as we head to the 8th, back to the top of the order with Deshaun Seifu still looking for his first hit of the season. And doesn't look like he'll get it now as he flies out to center field. Josh Porter up, 0-2 count to Mr. Porter, and he strikes out. I believe that's his 4th strikeout of the day. Tylen Hotailing with his first at-bat of the season after making the team one of the final guys to make the roster this year. His left-handedness in the batter's box was a deciding factor, giving us a left-handed bat off of the bench. We'll let him swing away here with 2 outs. And Hotailing looks like he will fly out to the shortstop to end the inning. So 3 up, 3 down. We head to the bottom of the 8th. The lead is 8-4. It's only taken Rivera 16 pitches to pick up 4 outs so far. We're going to push him at least 1 batter further, going up against the shortstop, Bruflat. And he grounds out to our shortstop, 6-4. Andrus with the throw to Rojas. 1 away until someone gets a hit off Rivera. It only took him 1 pitch there. We're going to keep him in the game. Full count to Dante Afriye, the dangerous hitter, and Afriye strikes out. Strikeout number 3 for Rivera, and now the catcher, cleanup hitter, Luis Ortega up. 0-2 count to Ortega, and he strikes out as well. So Rivera, we like that signing in the offseason, and his first day has been impressive. 8-4 lead for Buffalo as we head into the 9th inning. Porfield's still on the mound against the first baseman, Daniel Rojas. Oh, and Rojas was plunked. So a runner on first now for Juan Romero. 3-0 count to Romero, and he draws a walk. So a hit by pitch and a walk with the first 2 batters for Porfield. He's only thrown 14 pitches, but there's been a lot of action among those 14 pitches. Ishmael Velasco up. 1-2 count to Velasco. And he flies out to left for the first out of the inning. Stewart's been relatively active out in left field today for the Phillies. Walt Miller now up. The catcher, 1-2 count to him. Miller goes down swinging. And that brings us to Alejandro Contreras. 2 runners on, 2 outs. The young second baseman draws a walk, so the bases are loaded now for the shortstop, Jim Andrus, who, as we mentioned last time he was up, 1 homer and 4 ribbies today. With the bases loaded now, has a chance to have a truly historic day. 2-2 count, though, and he strikes out to end the inning. So we leave the bases loaded. Hopefully that won't come back to haunt us with an 8-4 lead as we head to the bottom of the 9th. With that 8-4 lead, Rivera has thrown 27 pitches, so we're going to make a couple of changes here. One, we are actually going to make a defensive substitution for Deshaun Seifu. We've used everybody except Mike Whitehead, the young infielder, today, so might as well empty the bench. I think it'll improve our defense a little bit at this point. So Mike Whitehead is going to become our third baseman. And our call to the bullpen will be for Mr. Chris Powers, Rule 5 acquisition from this past off-season. Picked him up from the Dodgers organization. Really interested in seeing what he can do for us. And with the 4-run lead, not going to go to our stopper or our closer here. We'll see if Mr. Powers can close things out in the bottom of the 9th for us. So Powers on the mound, Kimmel, Faltzgraf, and Curtis due up for Philly. And Kimmel flies out to center field for the first out of the inning to Ishmael Velasco. Faltzgraf now up, 3 ribbies for him in his major league debut today. Our Rule 5 acquisition against the Phillies' Rule 5 acquisition, who was plucked from our farm system. 1-0 count to Marco Eduard Faltzgraf, and he laces it to left field for a single. So a really nice major league debut for the former Buffalo Wings minor leaguer. Runner on first now. Go after Curtis. 1-2 count to Danny Curtis. And he flies out to center field for the second out of the inning. Velasco makes the play. So potentially the Phillies are down to their final batter. Alex Stewart, the left fielder, who's made a number of nice plays out in left field today. 2-2 count to Stewart. And he strikes out to end the game. So the Buffalo Wings begin defense of our 2041 World Series Championship with an 8-4 opening day victory here in Philadelphia. Taking a look at the box score, we got those 4 runs in the first, or 4 runs in the second, added a run in the third, and then 3 in the fifth to take the 8-0 lead. They got 2 runs in both the bottom of the fifth and the bottom of the sixth, but that was as close as they got. Rough first day of the season for Seifu, 0 for 5 today. Comaduran, 3 for 3, 2 runs scored and a ribby. Romero, 2 for 5, 2 runs scored and a ribby. Romero, 2 for 3, 2 runs scored and a ribby. Also walked a couple of times. Velasco, 2 for 5, 2 runs and 2 ribbies. Contreras, 2 for 3 with a run scored. And then Andrews, as we talked about, the really big day, 2 for 5, 1 run scored, and 4 ribbies. Comaduran, Romero, and Andrews with the home runs for us. Barajas, 4 hits, no walks, and 6 strikeouts over 5 2/3 innings earned the victory. Espinoza with that rough relief outing, 3 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned runs without even recording an out. So his ERA is not actually 0. I guess mathematically maybe it is, but in my mind his ERA is infinite. Rivera with the hold, and then Powers, Rivera and Powers making their debuts for the team, gave us 3 1/3 innings of relief, allowing just 1 hit and combining for 5 strikeouts. So opening day, certainly the way that we would have drawn it up if at all possible. And one day into the season, our Buffalo Wings are back where we like to be, on top of the National League East with a 1-0 record. And we'll find out how the early weeks of the season go in our next episode. Until then, we are 1 win closer to the playoffs, 1 win closer to a title defense, and we'll find out how we do in the months of April and May, and perhaps even a little beyond in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.